Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Rebecca Cole, Director of Organizing with Church and Society. Right now, our world has been hit by the hard realities of the coronavirus disease. It is a time of uncertainty, risk, and challenge for all of us. I hope and pray that you are finding ways to stay healthy and socially distant while keeping connected in community. I join you today from my apartment in the DC area. And we know that a public health crisis exacerbates the struggle for marginalized communities. Today, I'm grateful that also joining us is Corelli Amaya from San Diego, California, who is here to discuss the challenges facing students and the undocumented community in this time of COVID-19. Welcome, Corelli. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Corelli Amaya, and I am a second-year political science and Chicana and Central American Studies double major at UCLA. I am a first-generation college student born in Ciudad Obregón, Sonora, Mexico, raised in North County, San Diego, California. As an undocumented student in the United States, it's tough navigating the educational system. By God's grace, I have had amazing communities that have welcomed me with their arms wide open instead of marginalizing me. At UCLA, I co-chair a student-run advocacy organization called IDEAS, Improving Dreams, Equity, Access, and Success for Undocumented Students, founded in 2003, when undocumented students had no resources or retention at the university or state level. IDEAS provides scholarships, retention, advocacy, community service, membership for undocumented students, not only at UCLA, but for the community as well. Through IDEAS, I was able to meet a strong ally, Reverend Jean Rose Smith, that introduced me to a safe space where I could be myself. The Wellesley Foundation found 580 Cafe, where I found one of my strongest communities at UCLA. I intern at the Wellesley Foundation 580 Cafe, giving back to the community that once welcomed me when I most needed it. So thank you. Here from my soon-to-be room in San Diego.
Thank you, Corelli. And we just appreciate you joining us and being the leader that you are. You have so much to offer during this time that we can learn from. So in the last few weeks, COVID-19 resulted in fast, significant changes to our day-to-day life. What have been some of those changes for you at school and with your community?
Well, where to start with that question? COVID-19 has really shaken up our worlds. The first thing that COVID-19 changed was my trip to DC. I was supposed to study a quarter in DC this spring. I was going to intern for the Board of Church and Society in DC, focusing on faith and immigration policy. However, 2 weeks before boarding the plane, the program got canceled. Classes at UCLA became digital for the remainder of the winter quarter. After the rapid developments of COVID-19, UCLA stated that our spring quarter would happen remotely, and we were encouraged to move back home. While winter quarterfinals were happening, I had to completely move out of the dorms and move in with my family in San Diego. It was an extremely stressful time. No time really to focus on finals when your family is struggling to buy groceries and my dad is fearing getting laid off of work. My dad is a construction worker, so he also does not work when it rains, which means recently no income has really been entering our household since it's been raining a lot. We do not have the luxury to ask for paid leave or access to healthcare or any of the benefits United States citizens have because we're considered aliens according to some people in this country. It's been rough having more uncertainties being thrown at us. However, this is how the undocumented life is. We are honestly used to it. What the world is experiencing right now is what the undocumented community experiences every day in this country. The unknown of being laid off of work, the struggle to obtain the right medical care you need, the struggle to buy the groceries you need, the government telling you what you can and cannot do. We live that every day.
That is a powerful connection. It sounds like you've been juggling a lot and just making this tie to the fear and the uncertainty that we are experiencing right now, that this is what life as an undocumented person is like every day. How have you observed the general public responses to these changes?
The general public is freaking out. They are hoarding resources or are moving their families to a place where less cases have been confirmed in order to protect their families. It is important to know that people do whatever it takes to keep their families safe. However, it is hurting the rest of us to be selfish during this time. It is important to reflect and recognize the amount of privilege some have during times like these and think about everyone in our community, the people without homes, the ones that live day by day, the undocumented community who may not have access to healthcare and fear going to the hospital with the fear of not being able to afford any of the expenses. We should be thinking about these things.
Indeed. The reality is that we do need to be thinking about everyone, and thank you for lifting this up. You've mentioned some of the struggles that you're facing. Are there other particular challenges this health crisis poses to people in the undocumented community?
Yeah, there are many challenges for the undocumented community during this time. There are about 37,000 people in ICE detention facilities, according to Political right now. ICE has been called out for its inhumane facilities in the past. Undocumented people are at high risk of contracting COVID-19 and dying in these crowded facilities. On a day-to-day, our communities also fear the potential ICE activity in our homes and workplaces. Now, during this health crisis, ICE has continued to target our communities and take advantage of people being at home during quarantine, even though there's a possibility that some of their work will stop for a short time. There is a lack of transparency and trust, which makes undocumented people even more fearful during this time. Undocumented people can't seek medical and health attention, and that is where advocacy has came in on the last few days for our community. Advocacy is occurring to obtain healthcare for these vulnerable communities. If an undocumented person is sick and doesn't seek treatment, it becomes risky for everyone. For example, farm workers who work in the fields, they have not been laid off and they won't call off if they're feeling sick because they live paycheck to paycheck. They need the work hours. Continuing to go to work without care or paid leave causes the entire community to be more at risk.
Absolutely. As you've described, undocumented people are in some ways hit the hardest at this time. And we've seen some of our elected officials scapegoating certain immigrant communities with this virus. How do you feel about that, Corelli?
It is really sad. Our country knew about the coronavirus and simply no country was prepared for a pandemic. We are prepared for war and have all the nuclear weapons ready, but we aren't ready for a virus and treatment. Instead of pointing fingers, we should come together to defeat the virus as a unit. Loving everyone, putting labels on the virus is harmful. The labels create narratives that are opposite of the gospel message of love. We are called to love all people, all nations. What's most important right now is that we value every human being in this fight and collaborate and love to get through it.
Amen. As I've gotten to know you over this short time, I've learned that you are a woman of deep faith. Your faith is at the core of who you are. And while so many things are being shut down and disconnected, how do you stay connected to your faith? What is sustaining you during this time?
Well, while quarantine, my family has come up with different family traditions, one being daily family Bible studies. Nights at 8 p.m. in my parents' room, we read a chapter of the Bible each night. We have recently been reading on the plagues of Egypt, then we close off by praying over our nation, church, family, and city. Another thing that has also kept me connected to my family at the 580 at UCLA is our virtual reunions that we have daily. At noon, we bring our questions and concerns via Zoom to discuss in community. At 4 p.m., we have music, games, and more. And at 8 p.m., we end together with a space to journal and reflect. Throughout the day, there's always someone in the 580 community available to talk. That really has been keeping me grounded these few days. I would encourage people to reach out to their loved ones and be intentional during this time. That could be, because it could be a very lonely time for many, and it would be a good time to reach out.
Absolutely. Thank you for the encouragement and just for these creative ways that you and your family and the 580 community have continued to live out your faith. As we think about moving into what are other ways we can take action, what are the best ways that you believe the faith community can help and support undocumented people during this time?
First, pray. As you go to God in your prayer times, pray for undocumented people and their families who are navigating so many risks at this time. People who have to go out to work low-wage jobs without leave, and people who live without access to health care. God calls us to be doers of the word and not only hearers. Not only are we supposed to pray, but there are other ways we can take action too. Second, donate. Donate to organizations in your community who directly support undocumented people. For example, the Wesley Foundation 580 Cafe receives funding to support undocumented students with DACA renewals, food insecurity, housing, and mental and health and well-being. To donate, go to 580cafe.com and you can donate there. Third, you can advocate. Our leaders are making decisions about relief and safety during COVID-19. It is critical that our elected officials on the state and federal level hear that we want to protect immigrant communities. Right now, you can be in contact with your members of Congress. Ask them to include all people in health and safety net funding. So those are 3 things you can do.
Excellent. Well, that concludes our interview questions for today. You heard Corelli friends, 3 things that we can do: pray, donate, and advocate. Right now, our Congress needs to hear that we want them to include all people in health and safety net funding. Thank you so much, Corelli, for your time. We are so grateful for you and all that you are doing to be a witness in your community and with your family and your friends. We will continue to be in contact with you, and we just thank you so much for your partnership.
Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Rebecca, for your time and for having me here. And I would encourage you all to take action and stay safe out there. Thank you.